Every adversity carries with it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit, said Napoleon Hill. Who had known a day like this would come when a boy raised by an illiterate mother who was working as a maid in 5 houses to eke a living and educated her son in a government-aided private school where the medium of instruction was in Kannada, would stand here before all of you to deliver his first TEDx talk today. Having one meager meal a day and attending school for many years and seeing the family almost disintegrate due to abject poverty, yet battling all adversities and setbacks, rising above the expected lines to break through and reach to where I am today, it is an impossible task to many of us. I am happy and proud that I am one among the elite group of insuperable warriors. I've also suffered the anguish of watching a mother being diagnosed with typhoid and yet continue to work, or else the roof over her head may not exist for non-payment of rent. Yet, shrugging off the maladies, mother on my side, wrapping a cloth around my waist to suppress hunger, I'm here before you, battled all odds and fracturing all boundaries. I stand as a strong individual today. My story, ladies and gentlemen, is a story of million Indians who have combated poverty and deprivation through sheer hard work and education. It was never easy for people like us. My name, ladies and gentlemen, is Manjunatha Rangaraju. Today is not a Mother's Day. It's not Labor's Day. It is not Friendship Day. It is not even Literacy Day. But I'm here to talk about how all of these have shaped who I am today. Studying in a government-aided school gave me a set of friends and teachers that I'm sure you will not find today. Most of our teachers inculcated courage and the sense of pride in us. The friends around us were equally helpful, as most of us came from similar situations. Before the advent of social media like WhatsApp, Instagram, and Facebook, etc., we shared an excellent rapport with our teachers. Our teachers were extraordinary to that extent. Let me now ask you a few questions. How many of you were born 22 years ago? Can I have raise of hands? Very few. I studied, as I said, 22 years ago I was in the school. How many of you faced a board exam for 7th standard? None of you, right? I think the older generation must have faced. The younger ones would not have. What do you think the salary of those teachers could have been in those days? Any guesses? No points to guess. It would be very, very less. Yes? I would like to share an incident with you. Although most of my teachers were paid meager salary when I graduated in 7th standard, all of them pulled in some money and gifted me a gold-plated wristwatch. And in those days, it was considered very expensive. Now you might ask, why is it necessary? It was their sense of pride in me for having brought up a kid of my stature, and it was also instilling the kind of confidence in other schoolmates that come what may, we will produce people like him in many years to come. I also would like to share another beautiful story with you. How many of you are prepared for one grade ahead? Right? How many of you have heard of terms like vertical grouping? Anybody here? It's a cliche nowadays. It's a more modern way of educating children. My teachers 22 years ago did this to me. I was in grade 6 when my teacher walked up to me and said, tomorrow you're teaching a particular concept in 7th standard and I shall observe your class. As a grade 6 student without libraries and smartphone in hand, you had to rely on the textbook and prepare, go back the next day, present the whole chapter while my teacher observed my class. And it started there and it continued. So this way, they made sure that I was prepared for one grade ahead all the time. The reason I highlighted this, despite their problems, despite their adversities, they made sure that what a student dreams of was given at a very young age. The leader in me was brought out from that very young age. And my passion to teaching started right from there. English education, as you all know, was a far-flung dream for most of us. And when it did come true, it was a new struggle. It took me a good 6 months to learn the language and be able to communicate. Thanks to that, my PUC was a little easier. My parents and my brother worked relentlessly to make sure that I studied science. Although the fee was just 6,000 rupees back then, it appears very small when I look back today, but that was very hard for my parents to fend. But they worked relentlessly to make sure that I studied science. It was their dream for me to pursue a career like all of you are sitting here. But as I progressed, I scored rather fantastic scores. Like any good Indian kid, there were two options before me. The choice was upon me, as my parents were neither educated nor did they have the capacity to make decision. So, like any of you, I had two choices: engineering or medicine. I had a merit in both of it, but I chose engineering. You might ask why. The choice here was definitely not between engineering and medicine to me. It was earning sooner than prolonged suffering for the family. Now, 4 years of engineering definitely ensures that the society finds a lab rat in me who can be employed in the next 4 years. But medicine, as you all know, would take longer. So to a person coming from deprived background, earning soon was priority than anything else. Eventually, I ended up joining engineering. And would you believe, my father, despite all the difficulties, gave me 2 rupees a day as pocket money. Most of you might be getting more than 2,000 a month now. 2 rupees back those days was also very difficult for us. So that act made me realize that I somehow have to shoulder the burden that my family had. So I applied for a loan for 15,000 rupees annual fee for my engineering, and I knew it was insufficient. So I started tutoring a set of students in the morning and in the evening. And when I was in my second semester engineering, I started teaching in a school as a part-time mathematics teacher, training 10th standard students. Now, a second semester student and a 10th standard student have not much of an age gap. Some of them have 3 kids now, and most of them married before me. So that's the beauty. And later, I continued to teach between 5:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m., for which I had to wake up at 4:30 every day, and attended my college between 9 to 4 in the evening. Again, I started teaching between 5:30 to 8:30. Many times, I would go home at 11 in the night. I still recall the days when I have walked barefoot back home because I did not have money on me to travel back home. Setting all that aside, what made my heart light was something that was to follow. Having garnered strength and understood a geography well, I set up a tutoring center where I trained hundreds of students over the next few years in Bangalore. There, I saw a mother suffering from TB and yet had burning desire to educate the child. I saw another woman battling a drunken husband every day, working in a garment factory, earning a meager salary of 3,000, half of which would go for the rent of the house, and remaining half would go as fee of their children's fee. And there came a time when one of the girls in the family suffered from dengue and she was admitted to a hospital. Almost on the deathbed, she battled the death and came back to life. She missed classes for 2 months. And when she came back to me, she said, "Sir, in the last 2 months, this is what you have taught. While I was okay to read in the hospital, I have prepared. You may ask me any question and I'm willing to answer. Do not consider me a lazy student." This made me believe that their difficulties and their pain is not more than mine. What also excited me was that the same girl called me when she was in Mysore on the day of the result and said, "Sir, I'm in Mysore. I have 1 rupee on me, and I have used that to call you to let you know that I have scored a distinction, and thank you." And that was the last time I spoke to that child. These incidences made me believe that teaching is much more than rewards in the form of gratitude and obedience to the teacher, who is an all-time giver without expectations. My teaching career has certainly given me immense gratification. From there, I had wonderful stories in engineering. How many of you have less than 50% attendance here? It's okay, your professors can't see you. Great, some hands went up. In my 6th semester engineering, I had 23% attendance. So what do you expect the principal to do? Stop me from taking up the exam? Fortunately, the principal knew my story. While I was attending engineering classes, I was also teaching. I wasn't whiling away my time. So-called internship was happening with me, and I was being ready to be a future teacher. Well, every semester had holidays, and these holidays helped me a lot in preparing for the next semester. And like all of you have, I also had friends who were very, very helpful. You know what I mean, right? So this journey continued, and after 4 years, like I mentioned in the beginning, 4 companies found a lab rat in me, and I was found to be employable. I had 4 offers before I left engineering, and I eventually joined Wipro. After serving there for 2 years, I discovered my vocation. I know teaching was mine, and I came back to teaching. In the next few years, I traveled the length and breadth of this state as a CET trainer, and so far I have trained more than 6,000 students. And incidentally, one of those students is a photographer and an editor of this program. So life is like that. World is a very small place. So at a very young age of 24 and a half, I ascended to the position of a principal of a college in Bangalore. This very ordinary boy battling all adversities had a Dubai calling too. I went to Dubai, worked with a firm, headed verticals like research and development, education and training, and also developing new businesses, and so on. Africa called me too. I have so far visited 15 countries, and many times on the invitation of ministries under various governments. Back in India, leaping at an opportunity to lead a group of schools. My team and I are working extensively on bringing quality education to Tier 2 cities like Davangere. We ensure school kids here get the same quality of education that they get in Tier 1 cities at an affordable fee. Teaching, as I said, is experiential, and we design curriculum in such a way that we include extraordinary systems like art integration, building entrepreneurs, making learning fun and interesting. More than anything, we are nurturing students who are young entrepreneurs and also follow research-based pedagogy. We are committed to bringing up many more talented and exemplary people to society who can rupture the boundaries and emerge as a phoenix. Leadership is a responsible act. As a dean, I'm responsible to realize the vision of our education group. All this through a strong weapon called education. Our ambitions are huge, like orphanages, schools, universities, and many more. We are certain that with the team that I have, which also includes people who have come from similar backgrounds, we will realize these dreams. We are committed to our dreams. Mainly, we would like to help student community which come from deprived backgrounds and ensure that they reach the pinnacle of success. I would like to end by quoting what Swami Vivekananda said. You become what you think you will. Throw away all weaknesses. Tell your body that it is strong. Tell your mind that it is strong. Have unbound faith and hope in yourself. We are what our thought has made us. So take care about what you think. Words are secondary. Thoughts live, they travel far. Have faith in yourself. All power is in you. Even the poison of a snake is powerless if you can firmly deny it. Namaskaram. I thank you for listening.